At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. It might hurt you. Hope you don't lose your mind. Well, I was just a boy, about 8 years old. You threw me a Bible on that Mississippi road. See, I love you, Papa, you did all you can do. And they say the truth hurts, so I lied to you. Yes, I lied to you. I love the blues. Take me in your arms tonight. Well, all right. Somebody take me in your arms tonight.
Welcome to the Black Pack and happy Friday to everyone. It is all in all quite a lovely Friday here in the City of Angels, and particularly here where we sit in Leimert Park Village. I say that, Andy, knowing that most of the country is bracing for massive winter storms from the Plain States all the way to the Eastern Seaboard. So before we get started, I just want to tell folks to check in on your friends in the Midwest and on the East Coast because they are about to be going through it. I've been watching all these videos, Andy, on social media, and I don't know how much you pay attention to these, but there's these videos that people do whenever the temperature drops below 70 in LA. And there's basically people making jokes, right, about how, we're struggling out here in these LA streets and it's cold. And I have to say, I had to put on socks and a sweater. I feel like I know that we shouldn't be talking about being cold.
Right.
But last night,
it was freezing.
It was cold.
I agree with you.
It was like the end of days.
Look, I'm a tropical guy, so, I tell people all the time, I'd rather deal with it being super hot than it being super cold. And when it gets to 70 degrees, unfortunately, that's super cold to me.
I'm telling you, I definitely, I think it's going to be better, but I'm still going to be underneath a blanket this weekend. And I'm going to be underneath the blanket this weekend because there are two reasons why. One of them, where I'm going to be tomorrow, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Saturday? Or do you mean Sunday?
Is it? Oh, yeah. So whatever. I'm getting ready.
Yeah, we're enemies right now.
We're enemies right now.
I shouldn't even be talking to you.
Me and Andy are enemies. He said he might even sabotage the show today.
Because I might turn off your mic right now. If you
just saying,
watch your words right now.
I'm just saying.
Watch
ain't no way.
your words.
The Seattle Seahawks will be losing this weekend.
Are you serious?
I'm just saying.
We own you.
I know that you don't. I don't.
That last game was very, very, very lucky for you.
Luck, okay. I don't know about. There's no luck in the NFL, really.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
We'll see Sunday.
You want to come over? You come over. Come over and watch the game.
It's whatever. Trust me, I'm gonna be rammed out. I'll tell you that much.
I almost wore my Richard Sherman jersey in today.
You should have.
I should have.
You know he's from Compton, though, right? He is.
I do, but and what?
Brethren.
And what side of the field will he be on Sunday?
You know what? He probably is going to be over there on Seattle.
He absolutely will be. He's a man from Seattle these days. But I'm also going to be under the covers because I might be watching some Oscar-nominated films this weekend. So the Oscar nominee announcements came out this week, and there's a little film that industry folks tried to dismiss and write off up until recently. They left this particular film off of best film lists and well-known publications. And Sinners made Oscar history with the most nominations for any film in Oscar history, with 16 nominations, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor, Supporting Actor, and Actress, Song, Screenplay, Wardrobe, all of the things when people try to bury it before it even came out.
My question is this. Do we want a clean sweep? Ideally, of course, we'd want to win everything. Mm-hmm. But like, what are like the out of the nominations? What are like the major awards that we would want to win? Or if we lost, they snubbed us in that regard.
Well, I mean, hopefully the Golden Globes aren't any indication of what the snubbing might be. You know what I mean? It'd be, right. So they're like being nominated, for 16 Oscars, making history, and then to win none would be a real issue.
100%.
Right? But I think this weekend I'm gonna try and watch some of the other films. I honestly don't know what they are, but I figure I could expand my horizons, and watch some of them. And I imagine that there are some films that deserve to win in some categories, but I think Best Picture should absolutely go to Sinners.
Absolutely.
I think I would love if Delroy Lindo got the supporting actor. I mean, I think Best Screenplay is definitely in order for Ryan Coogler. So I think that there's, a number that should, it was a film that I think Hollywood sometimes doesn't know what its audience is looking for. And I think Ryan Coogler showed them what they are looking for. And they didn't like that. And they also didn't like the money that he got. So that's that on that. But I'm going to watch some movies. I'm going to watch the Seahawks beat the Rams. And I know that there may be many listeners that are
Seriously?
Rams fans.
I don't know about that.
But I'm just saying, Seattle needs to win something. Give us something.
No, you don't.
Give us this Super Bowl.
Nah.
Come on.
We're not trying to hand you guys anything. I'm sorry.
Right,
this is
well,
LA.
You don't have to hand it.
We're
going to take it. But
I don't know.
I'll see you on Sunday.
Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Let's get it.
All right. Well, okay. I'll go with Puka Nacua, but the other two. Anyhow, we have a great show for folks today. We have a lot to cover, and we're going to be joined by lawyer and journalist Anoa Changa, who's going to help me break down all the stories that we have been following this week, from the ongoing harassment of folks in Minnesota to the Supreme Court to more Black history erasure and the president's embarrassing capitulation on the world stage this week. And in the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by longtime organizer and St. Paul resident Dan McGrath, who is on the ground organizing with other residents and parents in the face of increasing aggression from federal agents in the Twin Cities, and a particular target on children. So if you'd like to join the conversation with us live right now in the chat on YouTube, please do so. Or check in the comments on Instagram at KBLA 1580, or follow me at Adrianne.Shropshire on IG, or on Blue Sky at Adrianne Shropshire. We've got a lot to talk about here on the Black Pack. Stay with us. Anoa Changa is joining me next here on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were seen to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, get me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm 2. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes. And your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You gotta go to child support court. You gotta get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going into court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Your Honor. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So, if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh and pain away.
You don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to your mommy like that.
Unlike your mama, we can handle your black talk on the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire.
You are here listening to the Black Pack. I am your host. And per usual, it's been a week of total nonsense in politics. And if our rights, freedom, and democracy weren't on the line, we might be cackling right now at how insane it all is. But alas, people are out here fighting every day to save this country. And joining us now is one of those people, journalist, podcaster, and my partner here on the Black Pack, Anoa Changa. Anoa, welcome back to the conversation.
Well, thank you, Adrianne, for having me this evening. If I got to be anywhere processing the madness, I'm glad I'm with you.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show with Dan McGrath, who is a longtime organizer in Minnesota and lives in St. Paul, about some of the stuff that's happening on the ground right now. But I thought we might just start out by talking about what has happened in Minnesota in the last couple of days. I'm sort of checking my words here because I, like many people, keep talking about Minneapolis, but we know that it's also St. Paul. We also know that it is really greater Minneapolis, right? We talked about all the stories that are coming out of small towns that where ICE and Border Patrol, the sort of federal agents, are just going wild. It is, when we hear stories from folks on the ground, it is kind of unimaginable in a way, right? Like, I think we've seen, from here in LA to DC to Chicago, this kind of escalation of tactics, right, by ICE and Border Patrol, and it becomes more and more clear that we're looking at a paramilitary operation. This is not immigration enforcement. This is not police work, right? This is a paramilitary campaign. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right, Adrianne. Like, there were a bunch of clips that we've seen coming out, and, thankful to all the people in the community who are documenting, citizen journalists, independent journalists like Georgia Fort and other folks who are really helping us see very clearly what's happening. But one of the things I saw today that was, like, alarming, but also not surprising because of the way that ICE has been just walking around with impunity as if they don't have there's no check or balance in the claims about them having absolute immunity and other stuff. Like, a legal observer was told by ICE agent, because they're also starting to record people themselves, right? Protesters, legal observers are taking pictures of people's license plates. And he told her that we got a database and now you're a domestic terrorist.
Right.
And so we're watching exactly what you said, right? Like, this is fascism. It's not we're on our way to it. Like, this is what it is. Because when you're proclaiming things, regardless of what the Constitution actually says, regardless of what our actual legal rights and the rule of law really, truly actually is still on the books today, and not having anyone rein them in, this is exactly what you're saying is happening, and we're seeing this increased surge in this one metro area, right? But it could be any of our communities, in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I know that folks have been trying to say for a minute about, we are way beyond. If there ever even was, a rationale around immigration and immigration policy, which there wasn't, right? We are just well beyond that at this point, and that should be clear. That should be clear to everyone. One of the things I wanted to lift up, right, as a part of what has been happening in Minneapolis. And folks may have heard the story about a protest that happened at a church last weekend. Some protesters entered a church and began to disrupt the service. It was in part because the pastor at this church turns out is also a local ICE agent, right? He is a employed by ICE and is the pastor of a church, right? And so the contradiction of this, right? The contradiction of, and we've talked about this when we had John Fugelsang on the show and with others last week with Pastor Eddie here in Los Angeles about just this contradiction between the ways that this government and its entire regime want to lift up religion and lift up Christianity, right? At the same time, they both operate and legislate against the teachings of Jesus. And so this particular incident just sort of brings into stark relief this idea that you have someone who is, a part of the regime that is, going after people, disappearing people, kidnapping children, all of the things that we know that's happening, murdering people in the street, and at the same time as the pastor of a church. And so this, over the last couple of days, they made some arrests. The Justice Department said that they were going to arrest people who were engaged with that particular protest at the church. They arrested a woman that we had as a guest on the Black Pack, maybe a couple of weeks ago, Nikema Levy-Armstrong, who's a civil rights lawyer in Minneapolis. She was arrested along with two other people. They attempted to charge Don Lemon, the journalist. They tried to bring charges against him, and a magistrate said, no, you cannot bring charges against someone for doing journalism because they are protected by the First Amendment. But this is the kind of, again, sort of escalation, right? The thing that you just described as observers, right? Legal observers being told, well, we got your license plate and now you are on a domestic terrorist list, but going after protesters and journalists and trying to charge them and get them thrown in jail because they are also exercising their First Amendment rights.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even seeing what's happening right in Minnesota with those arrests. And we know that they have already been, the Trump administration has already expressed desire to weaponize existing laws against protesters, against people who are standing up and pushing back on the tyranny that they're bringing, right? And so just like it's not necessarily new in American history. At the same time, what we're seeing and how we're seeing, the Justice Department, the same civil rights laws that were created to protect and shield our communities, like the KKK Act. I mean, like, we're seeing these things get weaponized. I mean, they're talking about using the FACE Act was one thing we talked about, and that actually has to do with reproductive justice and protecting abortion clinic providers and people seeking abortions. And so it's like all this stuff that is happening, and it's all happening at the same time, right? It seems very chaotic, but it's actually methodical, because either they're going to desensitize us and we just are subdued and let them do whatever they want to do, or they're just going to continue to try to overpower people. And what we're seeing happening, with the way communities organize in the Twin Cities area, in greater Minnesota, and what we've seen happening, we talked about this, last year when this was happening in LA, what we saw in Chicago, parts of North Carolina and other places, is that community is really like standing firm on, these are our values. And it's been brilliant to see what's happening in Minnesota in terms of the outpouring of folks saying, like, Minnesota nice, these are our values. These are our community members. These people who've been here for decades in our communities, and you're disrupting and destroying, and we're not taking it. And so, I mean, it's frustrating, but it's also been a really, just seeing the community come together has been really pretty amazing amid all of this going on.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, it's important to again, understand this for being more than, this is not about immigration policy, unless we want to say that the U.S.'s immigration policy is disappearing, folks and kidnapping children. Then I guess one could say that, but we've moved way beyond that. This is essentially going after communities that the federal government does not like. That I don't even say that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller do not like, and attempting to remove them from the country, and going after, clearly what we saw this week, going after those folks who are standing up to this authoritarianism, to this tyranny, and saying no. So you have them arresting Nikema, right, the former president of the NAACP in Minneapolis, right? That we see them arresting St. Paul School Board member Chantel Allen. They arrest veteran activist Will Keller. So going after the people who are standing up. I think the journalism part is also equally ridiculous. I mean, I don't think that the Justice Department is going to stop trying to go after Don Lemon and other independent journalists. I think Pam Bondi said, there's more than one way to do this, right? After the magistrate said, no, you can't do that. So they'll continue to go after independent journalists. And I think that this is an indication of the escalation that we're going to continue on to see, and including the sort of outrageous stuff that we talked about last week as well, going in, kicking down people's doors, now going in without judicial warrants and trying to say that well, we don't really need one, right? We have our own warrant, right? We have a general warrant, and we can come in. We're talking about Revolutionary War stuff, right? Like the reaction to the British just taking people's homes, right? That's what the Constitution and its amendments try to push back against. You can't just run up in people's houses. That is the Fourth Amendment. But I want to lift up and ask you to just talk a little bit more about two things that you said that I think people might have missed, and that is the statutes that they tried to use against Nikema and Chantel and Will. So one is the Klan Act. Right, the Klan Act, and the FACE Act, which was exactly what you said, to protect people who were going into abortion clinics and providers, but using the laws that were meant to protect people's civil rights, right, to protect Black people from white violence. Using those laws against Black folks who are continuing to try to protect communities from white violence.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, just drilling in, and the KKK Act came after the 14th Amendment after the 14th and 15th Amendment. in the in the Reconstruction era because of the inability to consistently enforce the law, right? Even just the idea of using the Insurrection Act, when the Insurrection Act has been leveraged on behalf of people, it has been done to protect primarily Black people in the Deep South from states refusing to comply with the law. And, we talk about that complying with the law and stuff and, the federal government, and we're watching federal officials, we're watching official accounts post disinformation.
Right. Yes.
Can
you talk about that, please? Because this is one of the most outrageous things.
Oh, my gosh. Nakima, not only are they taking pictures of people, right, and just using their own information warfare, but they took a picture of her, folks may have seen it, and they used generative AI to make it look like she was crying profusely, right, when she wasn't. And then the White House official account posted it, and then they said some nonsense about more memes to come. This is ludicrous. Right? The running of the country. Like, I like a good meme just like everybody else, but like seeing this come out of this administration, no telling what we're going to be looking for also in this election cycle, considering the lack of guardrails we have on the way AI. Because all this dovetails together. That's why they made sure they had control over certain aspects of our information infrastructure, and that's why they've been fighting so hard against like AI moratoriums and regulations and stuff, because then they could do stuff like this. And that might seem harmless, but imagine what this administration will do when it comes to the elections and just misinforming people, disinformation that gets them riled up so they don't have to do it. Then we have, militias and other folks that they keep emboldening to come after us.
Yeah. Well, I want to, when we come forward, I want to continue talking about this. I think we have a clip from when Nakima was on the show, and it's really important that we listen to the voices of folks coming out of Minneapolis right now, and frankly around the country, because while the intensity may be happening in Minnesota right now, ICE escalation is continuing to happen around the country. And then we're going to get into some more news. There was lots of nonsense this week, and Noah's going to help me break it down when we come forward. This is KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to The Black Pack.
More of The Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. NASA marked its annual Day of Remembrance by honoring astronauts who died in the pursuit of space exploration. At a ceremony, Black Kennedy Space Center Deputy Director Kelvin Manning remembered the crews of Apollo 1 and the space shuttles Challenger and Columbia.
May we teach the next generation their names.
Additional ceremonies were held at NASA facilities nationwide. A slavery exhibit in Philadelphia was removed from a historic site after the Trump administration labeled it disparaging. The National Park Service took down the President's House exhibit honoring enslaved people who lived and worked there. And Black civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin will be laid to rest this week. Colvin, who was arrested in 1955 for refusing to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus, died of natural causes earlier this month at the age of 86. Her actions helped pave the way for the end of bus segregation nationwide. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
City Terrace delays on the 10 eastbound leaving City Terrace Drive. Delays continue ahead all the way to Azusa. It's also tough ahead in Pomona leaving the 57. That 10 eastbound staying slow in stretches all the way into Redlands. Tough on the 15 southbound in Corona, leaving the 91 all the way to Temescal Canyon Road. And northbound delays out of Norco from 6th Street to about the 10. More delays in the Cajon Pass from the 215 merge to the 138.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford did not throw a touchdown pass in last Sunday's playoff win at Chicago. The Rams know that cannot happen in Sunday's NFC Championship game at Seattle. Look for the Rams to crank up their passing attack early to help Stafford find a receiver in the end zone as soon as possible. 3:30 kickoff on Fox. The winner goes to the Super Bowl. The Lakers are facing a tough stretch on their schedule. Starting tomorrow in Dallas, their next 6 games are on the road in the Midwest or Eastern time zone. The Lakers are 6th in the Western Conference, but they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. Tonight at 6, we've got your Friday night sports fix, out of bounds and prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Pick up the drum.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are continuing our conversation about all that is going on in the country this week with Anoa Changa, and I wanted to just stick with this conversation about the activist being arrested in Minneapolis this week for protesting at a church where the pastor is an ICE agent, which seems like fair game to me. But we know that Nikema Levy-Armstrong and Chantel Allen and Will Farmer were arrested. Nikema was on the show just 2 weeks ago, and so I wanted to just take a listen to what she talked about when she was on the show. Andy, we have that.
Morning after Renee Good was killed, thousands of people showed up at 7 a.m. outside of the Whipple building to confront ICE, simply by standing there as a physical presence. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was very powerful.
Yeah.
For people to consistently show up and to show that they're not backing down and they're not afraid, even though, we're facing a very dangerous circumstance. Now,
So that, is a real, so this was 2 weeks ago. And she's talking about the importance of people showing up and standing as a shield, right, between the sort of out of control paramilitary operation that is ICE and the innocent community. And that is, essentially what she has continued to do. But I think that was to your point, Anoa, about the ways in which Minnesotans have responded, both in the Twin Cities, but also around the state.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the conversation y'all had, a while back. Also, like, just the way she was contextualizing how, like, the state is a very white place, right? Mm-hmm. Minnesota is about 80-some% white, but that region, that metro area has a very diverse population as well. So you might have parts of the country where folks don't like, certain kinds of folks around here, but in that area, they are very much, like, they're in community with people who are Somalian and Hmong and, like, from other communities and stuff. So, like, it is extremely disruptive. Like, children are used to going to school together. People are used to working together, going into different restaurants, and just, having been in, Minneapolis, St. Paul, just visiting. Mm-hmm. It's like they got great food, right?
Yeah,
like,
that is true. Yes.
So it's just, but I appreciate her really just talking about, like, community. And we saw Minnesota stand up, in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. We've seen it happen, various times before. But there is something in particular about the way the organizing has come together. And from what it sounds like, from what she was saying and what others have said, the mutual aid networks have kind of stayed together, at least loosely, so that when something like this is happening, people are able to mobilize.
Yeah, and that's just true of the Twin Cities. I mean, it is a very diverse community, both St. Paul and Minneapolis. It's very diverse. We know that it is a place where refugees have settled, fleeing war-torn countries. We know there's Somalia there. We know the Hmong are there. But we also know that there is a long-standing historically Black community in St. Paul. That's always been, sort of a significant part of, or in Minneapolis and St. Paul, it's always been a significant part of the makeup of that city. It's where Prince came from, right? Like, I think people think, yes, that Minnesota's a very white state, but St. Paul and Minneapolis are not. So I think just the quick update for folks, if folks have been following the story, the quick update is that that they have been released. There was a moment when they were given an opportunity for bond yesterday when they had their hearings. The judge said that they could be released on bond. The federal government said no. Keep them. We're going to appeal this decision. We want them to stay in. So they stayed overnight, and they're all out today. So that's the update on that story. And they'll obviously continue to fight. We'll continue to bring updates on that story as they happen and as their cases, sort of go through the system. But in Minnesota and in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, that is not the only place where attacks on people of color are happening. And as we have seen since the beginning of the Trump administration, we have seen an attack on Black history. We've seen an attempt to erase Black history. And one of the places that it just seems sort of, outrageous, I guess, to me, is the attempt to remove Black history from the national parks, right? We talked about last year, we talked about that sort of erasure that was happening at the national parks in West Virginia, right? The sort of taking down, removing
Harper's Ferry.
Harper's Ferry, removing images of our heroes, of Harriet Tubman, of Frederick Douglass, right? Removing images, and then it's yesterday. Was it yesterday? Was it today? Time has no meaning, apparently.
It's blending together,
right? Yep. In Philadelphia, at a place that's called the President's House, which is essentially an exhibit that shows the enslaved folks that were at George Washington had enslaved. And so it is an exhibit, and it talks about those people, right, who were enslaved there. And they removed it. They took down, and I saw a video today where they were removing the placards, right, that tell the history and tell the story, and people were watching, and they were saying, how are they removing the story of slavery from here in Philadelphia? But this is just more of the same attempt as we approach the 250-year anniversary of America. This administration, this regime has said very clearly that we are going to tell the story of America the way that we want to tell it. And the things that we don't like, I think Trump said it was, anti-American rhetoric, that if we don't like the things that make America look bad, like 400 years of enslavement, right, then we're just going to not talk about it. We're not even going to not talk about it, we're going to remove it. And that's what we saw in Philadelphia today, was removing from our national parks more history that talks about the United States of America, not only the dark parts, but really it erases the ability for America to talk about how it has grown and evolved and changed and recognize its wrongdoing. That it takes that away from Americans to be able to say we were wrong and we have tried to evolve into a more perfect union.
I mean, absolutely right. I mean, the other thing I saw today too is like this erasure of history, the trying to remove DEI and things of that nature. Like, all that isn't about because we need to forget what's happened. They don't want us to understand the lessons from history so that we can clearly identify what is happening right now in our communities and to our people, right? It's not all this nonsense about, we don't want, children to be scared or whatever. We literally have children tormenting other kids, claiming that if you do X, Y, Z, ICE is going to get you or whatever. So that has nothing to do with any of that. They want to disarm us of any ability to defend ourselves and build our communities and move forward.
Yeah, so it is an absolute. We should expect that as we head toward as we head toward July 4th, that every example of Black folks overcoming and thriving American authoritarianism in this country will be erased, so that they can tell a very different story about who this country was and who this country and I guess amplify who this country is trying to be again, right? When we think about what we're seeing in terms of the militarization of our cities and removal of whatever people they have decided that they do not like. I wanted to also talk about, and I guess we will when we come forward, this attack from the Trump administration this week on the Civil Rights Act. And it sort of fits in with this, we're going to redefine the story, we're going to rewrite history, we're going to call things that were gains negatives, right? And so when we come forward, we'll get into that, because I think that's also they've been on a roll this week trying to rewrite American history, but more with Anoa Chongo when we come forward. This is the Black Pack on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
Worried about unpredictable utility bills this winter? LADWP's Level Pay makes budgeting a breeze. With Level Pay, you'll receive a monthly bill that stays the same. No surprises. Even past due amounts can be rolled in, and you'll skip those seasonal spikes from heating your home. Sign up today at ladwp.com/levelpay. That's ladwp.com/levelpay, or call 1-800-DIAL-DWP and take control of your bill.
Black voices, they matter here, and we've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to your mommy like that.
Unlike your mama, we can handle your black talk on the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire.
We are here with Anoa Changa breaking down all the news from this week. And I want to remind folks that if you're listening in but want to join the conversation, you can join us live in the chat on YouTube at KBLA, or on Instagram at KBLA 1580, or on Facebook at KBLA 1580. You can also follow me at Adrianne.Shrop on IG, or at Blue Sky at Adrianne Shrop. And I also want to say, now I know you don't care about this because y'all's little football team is never going to win nothing. But I'm going to need y'all to stop messaging me about whose house. Because I tried to tell Andy that it's the... Yes, Seattle Supersonics house. Yes. I tried to tell folks, but now y'all messaging me memes and whatnot.
Shout out to whoever's DMing you. You already know what it is. LA gang gang. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Sean McVay. Let's get it.
Blah, 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 blah is all I'm hearing. I'll see you on Sunday. So, Noah, I want to get back to, I'm sorry to bring you into that. I know you in Atlanta preparing. I think y'all are about to get hit by the storm, too. I know you're in Atlanta minding your own business.
They saying something like that, but it's okay. We'll see. We're trying our best to be prepared and also just, keep an eye on what's going on with the weather.
Yes. Well, I don't hate to drag you into our West Coast feud here.
That's we need a little levity every now and then.
We're going to have a bunch of levity this weekend. So, okay, I want to get back to this conversation about all of the, there's just the rise in racism, right? The sort of rise in white supremacist policy, right? Throughout and across our federal government, from the militarization of ICE and Border Patrol to the arrest of activists and journalists, or attempting to arrest journalists, to children being abducted by ICE. And then this thing happened this week where Trump was like, the Civil Rights Act was actually a hate crime against white people, or something to that effect. Basically, the Civil Rights Act was a hate crime against white people. Your thoughts on Trump's claim?
I mean, it sounds again, it sounds like on the one hand, it's what, Andrew Johnson or Andrew Jackson? I always get those white men confused from the 1800s. But Jackson, what those folks tried to argue, post Civil War, post emancipation, about giving Black people our just due, our rights as, people and citizens in this country, right? Like, they got dragged kicking and screaming into the 14th and 15th Amendments. We dragged folks kicking and screaming to various civil rights acts and iterations over the years until we finally had the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 65, right? And when you look at what they're talking about, it's a hate crime. It's a hate crime to say that businesses, that public accommodations, that spaces that benefit from our tax dollars, right? Because we've always been either our labor was taxed and stolen from us that way, or we have had to pay taxes and still had our land and other stuff misappropriated and stolen, right? So that we as equal citizens in these communities can't use these same accommodations. That's a hate crime. Right. I mean, but that's what they feed. That's how they feed stuff to, their base, which is dwindling. Right. He's losing. He's hemorrhaging people. But if they can get the most fervent people still hyped up or whatever as they're steamrolling all of us, then they're trying to hold on to their power, the best way they can. And they're not hiding their affinity for the KKK. They're not hiding their affinity for Nazi Germany. They're making it very clear who they are. And what folks got to do, it might feel uncomfortable to speak up. You might not want to talk about politics or mix this and mix that, but this is like our lives and our ability to exist. And this is a very real thing that we're all facing right now.
Yeah, and we've seen this exact thing. I mean, he sort of came out and said it, right? Like the Civil Rights Act was very bad for white people, right? Essentially saying what you just said, which is stopping us from discriminating against you makes us feel bad and isn't right. So let us go back to discriminating against you, because that is the way that it should be, right? And that's essentially what they are saying when we look at the EEOC and the head of the EEOC saying, we understand that white men are being discriminated against in the workplace. Do call. Here's your personal hotline to call and tell us how you're being discriminated against all the data. All the, qualitative and, with your own eyes in every sector of, the American economy, education, government, clearly it is not true. That white people are being discriminated against. I mean, it's a little bit, they're sort of hope and fever dream about, South Africa needing to bring Afrikaners here because of their false claim of a genocide. But this sort of attempting to make, not just here in America, but sort of globally, right? This idea, there's sort of their attacks on Europe, right? Saying that Europe's big problem is that it keeps letting in immigrants, right? That it's not white enough. You need to get back to being more white, which is also sort of outrageous if you've ever been to any country in Europe, the idea that it is somehow no longer white is strange. But this is again, what we were just talking about, this sort of saying that the Civil Rights Act was bad. And there are ways in which through policy and through, the policies that are being implemented in departments, right, that they are just stripping away, right, the protections of the Civil Rights Act anyway, right? The thing that you said about the Voting Rights Act, we're about to get a Supreme Court ruling that is going to devastate. It will be the end of the Voting Rights Act. And so we're just seeing this as a part of the Project 2025 effort that obviously continues into 2026. But that it feels like he's just saying the stuff that they've been doing anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, like what you just like named too about like the right. We talk about the right capture of the courts for years, right, and conservative legal movement strategy. But this is what we're witnessing and living through right now in real time with all three, levels of the federal government, and with all three levels of the federal government, and with the capture of some of our state legislatures as well. And so, like, right now, like, this is not the time to duck and hide. We have legislation that's moving at the state level. We have a Congress that is, I don't know what Congress is doing, but it definitely ain't doing its job in terms of the check. And we have a SCOTUS that's sitting there, like, maybe we'll kind of do some limits on Trump's abuse of power in some of these very narrow circumstances. But for the most part, they've been rubber stamping his agenda and letting him, just blow past everything, including the Constitution.
Right. Well, it does seem like the Supreme Court is ready to say no to him trying to fire Federal Reserve Bank Commissioner Lisa Cook. So there were oral arguments in the court this week about whether or not he could outright fire her, which he attempted to do. The court said no, you have to let her stay in until this gets resolved. It looks like they are not, in fact, gonna side with him. And Jerome Powell, who Trump has been attacking relentlessly forever, showed up in court like, hey, hey, here I am. Yeah. But what do you make of the other justices, right? The conservative justices sounding like that they are going to align with the liberal justices in this case?
Our good friend Madiba Dene from Balls and Strikes has said that they also know where their pocketbook is at, and so they're willing to draw a line when it could impact their bottom line, their dollars. But I do think just seeing Chief Justice Roberts step in during oral arguments, because one of the counsel for the government was like talking over, Justice Sotomayor and some of the women on the court and whatever. Just like all their frustration was clear on display. Like, this is a very frivolous case. They're claiming that she had, gross malfeasance and negligence and all this other stuff, and they're like, it's an inadvertent mistake. These are also people who themselves have had to leave their homes and move to D.C. to serve, et cetera. So you're also talking to people who have been in a similar position as federal, servants. And, it's what they're accusing her of, the same thing they accuse, same thing other people in the Trump administration have done themselves and availed them of, is a mechanism that exists within, the financial industry and stuff, and with banking and loans and stuff. So it's nonsense.
Well, it's nonsense, and it's the thing that they're doing to say black women can't manage money, right? So this is what they said about Tish James, right? This is a thing. It's mortgage fraud. Well, what? No, actually, not. But what are the things that the American public thinks about black women anyway? Let's just go after them on those things and then declare that we're right. But it's not going to work. It has not worked, and is not going to work in this case either. Okay, no, we did not get to all of the things that we had hoped to in breaking down the news for this week, but there will be more next week. So that's the bad news or the good news. Plenty to talk about, but we're going to turn our attention at 5 o'clock back to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul. When we come forward, we're going to be joined by Dan McGrath to talk about the impact of the aggressive ICE actions on students and their families and what parents are doing about it. This is the Black Pack on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Millions across the U.S. are bracing for a massive winter storm stretching nearly 2,000 miles. At least a dozen states, including Kentucky, have declared emergencies as heavy snow, thick ice, and extreme cold impact areas from New Mexico to New England.
It's going to start early on Saturday. It's going to go through at least the